Don't tell a soul, but I'm hiding in my secret place in the library.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Nash. I'm the director of Lewis County Public Library, and I welcome you to our very first Chapter Friday. Each week, library staff will be reading the first chapter of a book that they're passionate about, highly recommend, and that you can borrow from the library. For our first reading, I wanted to read something that I loved as a little girl. The story we'll be reading is The Upstairs Room, written by Joanna Reese. This is the story of two Jewish sisters, Annie and Sini, who have to go into hiding in the upstairs of a farmhouse during World War II. It is geared towards ages 8 to 12. This story has mild thematic elements, a little violence. There will be a little bit of language that I will try to abbreviate, so please be warned, parents. But this is a wonderful story, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. The Upstairs Room by Joanna Reese. Chapter 1. I was not very old in 1938, just 6, and a little thing. Little enough to fit between the wall and Father's chair, which in those days was always pulled up in front of the radio. He sat with his face close to the radio, bent forward, with his legs spread apart, his arms resting on his knees, and he listened. "Father, look at this." I held out a drawing I had made. "Shh." "Father, I asked you to." He listened, but not to me. Where was Austria, which Hitler had attached to Germany in the spring? It was not a nice thing to have done, I guessed. Father had looked angry. Hitler. All the man on the radio ever talked about was Hitler. He must be an important man in Germany. Why didn't he like German Jews? Because he didn't. Why else would he be bothering them? The radio said he did. "Father." "Shh." "Or why would he let Jews buy food only at certain hours? Or arrest them and put them in jail? Only the jail was called a camp. But Germany wasn't Holland." I smiled. A good thing. If we lived in Germany, Hitler might do the same thing to us. He must have been the man who had just told the German people they could steal things from Jews. Anything they liked they could take or burn. The German people could even arrest Jews just like that. The radio had said something had happened. A Jewish boy had killed a German man. That wasn't nice. Allowing people to run through the streets in Germany one night and do all those things to the Jews was not nice either. It had a special name that night. Kristallnacht. "Father, what does Kristallnacht mean?" "Shh, Annie, I'm listening." That was all Father said to me these days, and I didn't like it. He used to say much more to me, nice things, even play with me. How could I ever find out anything if he never answered questions? I got to my feet. Mother would tell me. I walked into her bedroom to ask her what the word Kristallnacht meant, but she had a headache again. How come bad kidneys give you headaches? Well, anyway, Germany wasn't Holland. I frowned. Winterswijk was near the German border, though, less than 20 minutes away. That's how close it was. Some farmers lived so close to the border that their cows grazed in Germany, only across the road from their houses. I knew because Father was a cattle dealer, and he often took me with him when he went to buy cows. I was glad we lived right in Winterswijk, not so close to Germany that you could see it from your room. I saw something much nicer when I looked out of my window. The house of the Gans family, which was right across the street. The Ganses often waved to me at night when I leaned out of the window. The old man and woman and their big son. "Get back into bed," they'd call, "or we'll tell your mother." That wouldn't be bad, as long as they didn't tell my sisters. I had 2 of them, Sini and Rachel. big sisters, 16 and 21. And then there was Marie, our sleeping maid, who was almost like a sister. We all lived in our house in the center of a town away from that border. After the bad night in Germany, a meeting was held at our house. The Gons family came, all three of them, and Uncle Brom, who was in the cattle business with Father, and his wife. Uncle Phil was there without his wife because Aunt Billa and Mother didn't speak to each other. It had to do with my grandmother, who lived with Aunt Billa and Uncle Phil, but who came to our house every day to complain about them. I knew. I had heard her. When I sat at the top of the stairs, I could hear a great deal, whether the voices came from the upstairs bedroom or from the living room downstairs as they did now. They were excited voices. We must help those German Jews who crossed the border to come to Winterswijk. They left everything behind in Germany. They need our help. I talked to some today. Big raw scar on the face of one, German soldier, with a whip. But why? That was Mother. Because he was a Jew, Sophie. Father sounded impatient. It can't happen here. Safe here. This isn't Germany. This is Holland, you know. That Hitler has war on his mind, Sophie, and we're Jews too. There, footsteps. I ran back to my room and climbed in bed, and I pulled the blankets over my head. A few months later, Uncle Brom and his wife left for America. We went to the station to say goodbye. They must have been planning to stay for a long time. They took a lot of suitcases with them, and it must be far away. For Uncle Brom said that Hitler would never be able to reach them in America. Sophie, why don't we go too, Father said. But Mother said she had too many headaches to leave Holland and start all over again. Waving, we remained at the station until the train went. With angry steps, Father walked over to his car, opened it, and got in. He slammed the door and drove away, leaving us to walk home. By the fall of 1939, Rachel had graduated from Teachers College. She found a job at one of the nursery schools in Winterswijk. Sini started to work on a farm. At night, when Father and Mother went across the street to sit outside with the Gons family, Mother tried to talk about my sisters. That Rachel, so capable, and Sini, studying for her milking diploma. But I could tell from my window that nobody was listening to her. They were talking about the Germans who had invaded Poland. That was a bad thing to have done, Rachel told me. So bad that England and France had said to Germany, "Get your soldiers out of Poland or else." But Hitler had just laughed, and now England and France were at war with Germany. Served him right. Why did I have to go to bed so early? It was still light out. After all, I was in second grade now. Tomorrow I would refuse to do it. I stuck my head further out of the window. Nobody looked up to tell me that I had to go back to bed, not even Mrs. Gons. They were too busy talking. That winter, the Gons family spent almost every night at our house in front of the radio. They didn't have one of their own. Hitler did not seem to like Polish Jews either. He seemed to like them even less than German Jews. He had had some of them beaten so hard they had died, and they hadn't even done anything. How did he dare? I was often glad when Mother told me that it was time for me to go to bed. Under the blankets, I couldn't hear the radio. "Sophie," Father said, "we can't stay here any longer. We must go to America. I just heard that the German army's in Denmark and Norway. Sophie, that's close. Do you hear me? We have no choice. We're Jews." "Ez, you know I don't feel well. How can I leave? You're shouting so my head hurts even more. Annie, go to the kitchen and play there." Unwillingly, I left. Why did Mother always have to have headaches? Father started to build a house outside of Winterswijk. where Mother felt we would be about as safe as in America. It made Father furious to hear her say that, but he built the house anyway. That house wasn't going to be near the border. No, it would be far away on the other side of Winterswijk. The Germans would not bother us there. And then it was May the 10th, 1940. In the middle of the night, I woke up. So much noise. I jumped out of bed. Where was everybody? They were on their way downstairs. I ran downstairs too. What's happening? I asked. I hear planes. What are they going to do? I'm sure they're German planes, Rachel said. Maybe there's war here too, Cindy said. This is it, Father mumbled. Now it's our turn. How do you know they're German planes, Mother asked. They're coming from the east. Can't you hear? Father snapped. The border was to the east. Why wasn't the new house ready? We'd be safe there. Mother had said so. Father turned on the radio. The doorbell rang and the Gans family stormed in. What does the radio say? War, isn't it? We knew it. What? The Germans are also in Belgium and Luxembourg? Sophie, what are you doing? Father asked. Mother was taking silver from a drawer. We have to hide it, she said. They'll come and they'll take it from us. GD! Stuff it back in the drawer. I'm going to bed, Rachel said, and I'll stay in bed till the war's over. How long will that be? I asked. Can't last more than a few days, Rachel answered. Father laughed, but his face scared me. When it was light and the noise had stopped, we went outside. Our house was a few blocks away from the marketplace, the real center of town. Rachel held my hand tightly. She hadn't gone to bed. We met several people who looked just as bewildered as we did. At the marketplace we stopped. German tanks were there, and German soldiers. In the same area where twice a week flowers were sold, tulips in the spring and roses in the summer. Shivering, we leaned against the church wall. Grandmother, Uncle Phil, Aunt Bela, and my cousin Hani were there too. We looked at each other, but said nothing. Several men were handing out cigars to the soldiers and slapping them on their shoulders. Why are they doing that? I asked Rachel. They're Nazis, she whispered. People who think like Hitler, NSBers. We call them in Holland. One of them walked over to Mrs. Gans. Aren't they nice boys? He asked. Don't look so scared. They won't do a thing to you. He turned around and winked at one of the soldiers. The soldier asked him something. The shortest route to Unschada? The NSBer repeated. First road to your left. That'll get you there. Hurry up. Here, take another cigar for the road. He closed the box. It was empty. On his way past us, he spat at our feet. As we walked home, I asked Rachel why he had done that. Spat at us. Because we were Jews, she said. But he wasn't German, and how did he know that we were Jews? I asked. We looked different, she answered. Darker. Rachel knew so much. No wonder she was a teacher. When I got home, I was going to see how different I looked. Hitler did it again. He must have a great many soldiers, for now they're all over France too. But nothing had happened to us that summer. No stealing, no beatings, nothing. Maybe Hitler liked Dutch Jews better than he did the others. On clear nights, Father sat with the Gans family again. Jews here won't be bothered, the Gans son said. Not in this country. I liked what he said. But Hitler must have changed his mind about liking Dutch Jews, because in September, Father was no longer allowed to do business. He read about it on a big poster that was stuck on a tree in the middle of the marketplace. He didn't care, he said, and went to the farmers anyway. But not to all of his customers. He only went to those who liked Jews, and who wouldn't tell the Germans that Father still came to them to buy and sell cows. He got into the habit of stopping there every day at that tree to see whether there were new notices. I wished the house was ready. Building it was taking an awfully long time. Early in October, Marie came into the living room, closed the door, and stood against it. "Mrs. Levice," she said nervously, "I have to tell you something." "Yes." "I'm so miserable because of it. If you knew how I felt." "What is it?" Mother asked in a worried voice. You've always been so good to me, and I like the girls very much, and I hate to do it. But see, it's my boyfriend." "What about him?" "He's afraid. He wants me to leave you." "Why?" "See, he says I might get into trouble if I keep working for you." "What kind of trouble, Marie?" "You see, because you're Jewish, and I don't mind, and he doesn't mind. We like Jews, but he's afraid a lot of people won't talk to me anymore if I stay with you. You understand?" "I do," Mother said slowly. I didn't. Why was she leaving? There had been nothing about it on that tree. Seenie had to stay home and help Mother, and it made her cry. Seenie. The next month, Rachel received a letter in the mail. It was written in German, but she could read it anyway. After she started running up and down the living room. "Stop! You're making me dizzy," Mama complained. "And what are you doing anyway?" "I've been fired," Rachel answered, "as of tomorrow." "Annie, go out and play," Mother said. I got as far as the door. "But I'm not taking it," Rachel cried. "This letter came from the Germans, not from the school. The school probably doesn't even know about it. I'm going to the principal's house right now to get it straightened out." "Oh, what a situation," Mother mumbled as Rachel stormed out of the house. Rachel had been right. The principal hadn't known anything about the letter. He was upset and sorry, but he said it would be better if Rachel didn't come back anymore. After all, that's what the letter said. I had my own problems at school. Willy Boz, my best friend, didn't sit next to me any longer. Her mother had come to school to talk to the teacher. When she left, the teacher told me to sit somewhere else. By myself, because I talked too much. But Willy said later that she wasn't allowed to sit next to me anymore because I was Jewish. Why was I Jewish anyway? "Don't cry," Mother said to me. "We like you." Well, I knew that, but why didn't Willy anymore? Father was angry about Willy. He knew her father very well. Dr. Botts was a vet and had taken care of Father's cattle for years. "Sophie," Father said, "the longer we stay in Holland, the more intolerable life is going to be for us. This time, and I don't care what you say, I'm going to write to Brom. I'm going to ask him to help us get out of here fast, if it isn't already too late." "How could we leave?" Mother argued, "when the new house wasn't even ready?" Father didn't listen. He was already writing the letter. But it was too late. Uncle Brom couldn't help us get to America, and nobody in Holland would give Father the papers he needed either. In the spring of 1941, the tree began to have many announcements on it. We couldn't rent rooms anymore in hotels. With Mother sick almost all the time now, we wouldn't have done that anyway. But why did the next poster say that the Jews could no longer go to the beaches or parks? That wasn't fair. Beaches and parks belong to everybody. The tree didn't mention woods, though, and Winterswijk had pretty ones, and so many. The first announcement had made Father angry, but not nearly as angry as the one which said that everybody had to register at the town hall. "Everybody?" he yelled. "Only the papers we have to carry with us have something extra on them. A big J. J for Jew. Sophie, what have you got to say now? Brom was smart. Boy, was he smart. And so was his wife." "But I never kept you from going," Mother said. "You could have gone yourself, with the children even. I would have managed." "Oh, sure," Father laughed. I looked at his face. How come I was never scared before when he laughed? I slammed the door as I went outside, just as Father had done a second before me. Sometimes the tree talked to everyone. When food was going to be rationed, it did. We had expected the rationing and had a lot of dried beans and cans of food in the cellar. "What would you like?" I asked Billy Boss. "Peas," I answered. "I'm sorry, but I don't have any. Maybe I'll get them in again." "Maybe. Why don't you take beans, Billy?" I held out a can. "Here, take it. They're good. You used to like them, remember?" Disgustedly, I put down the can. Playing with an imaginary friend was no fun. I didn't like this summer vacation. When school started again, I was in 4th grade, but only for a few weeks. Jewish children were no longer allowed to attend school. I read the announcement at the marketplace and ran home. "I'm very glad," I said. "I hope we never have to go back." But really, it was boring not to go to school. Everybody else went. My cousin Honey didn't go either, but I didn't like to visit with her. Aunt Bela always made me wash my hands, and even when there was nothing wrong with them. Poor grandmother, having to live with her. No wonder she complained. The vacation was a short one. In a couple of rooms near a synagogue, a school was started for all the Jewish children from around Winterswijk. "There'll be 2 men teachers," Father said, "and you're to pay attention." I nodded. Sure I would. Maybe somebody would sit next to me again like before I became Jewish. Sini took me a few times to the new school, and then I wanted to go by myself. What was the matter with my teacher, I wondered. He praised everything I did. I wished he'd stop. The other children stuck their tongues out at me. Every afternoon he asked me to stay for a minute. "Take this note to Sini. Don't lose it. I know I can depend on you, right? Such a smart girl. And, say hello to her." Sini's face would get red when she read Mr. Herschel's note. "You give him this note tomorrow, okay? But don't you open it." What was the matter with both of them? I should ask Rachel. She'd know. On my way to school, I had started to notice signs saying Joden Verboden, forbidden to Jews. The signs were on the walls of several restaurants and at the movie theater. I never got to go to the movies anyway. Mother wouldn't even let me go when Mickey Mouse was playing, and everybody I knew went. It would be too exciting for her, she always said. It was a pity about the restaurant. We used to go sometimes, until those signs. But the other thing was worse. One day after school, a group of children from the old school was waiting for us. We kept on walking as if nothing was the matter, talking to each other as if we hadn't noticed them, until they started chasing us. Lots of them, all yelling, "Jew, Jew, ugly mole, stick your face in a dirty hole, stick your face in a mustard pot, by tomorrow Jew will rot." How could we pretend nothing was the matter? We were running, weren't we? The others were chasing us, weren't they? And when they caught up with us, they sang that song right in our ears, and hit, and kicked. And to be chased by Billy Boss, I didn't like her either, not anymore. Why weren't we living in the new house yet? I told them at home about being chased. "Don't worry," Sini said. "From now on, I'll pick you up." And then the new house was almost ready. "I don't want to wait any longer," Father said. "I'm becoming very nervous about staying in town. We're moving." "But, Inez," Mother complained, "we can't move into a house that hasn't even been painted." "Yes, we can," Father said. "If you don't want to come, I'm going by myself." He picked up the telephone and talked to somebody about the move. 2 days later, an empty van pulled up in front of our old house. Father and a man carried the furniture out. The man careful at first, until he saw that Father threw everything on the van. Mother sat on a kitchen chair, turning her head back and forth, following the men with the furniture. She stayed there until they needed her chair to put in the van. The Gons family waved as we all left. All three of them. It was almost October 1941. Well, that's the first chapter. If you want to know what's going to happen to Annie and Seanie, you have to read the rest of the book. So give us a call at the library, 931-796-5365, and we can help you check this book out for curbside services. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to click like and leave us a comment. Your likes and your comments help us with our statistics, which can help us with grants because it's showing that people are engaged with our library. We hope you stay safe, stay happy, and stay healthy, and please keep reading, Lewis County.